Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
So I heard you biked here, which I'm okay, here's the thing. I even got a bike for this city, but I'm afraid to get on a bike here.
You got your own bike?
I did.
That's too much of a commitment.
I know.
When you come to New York,
which is generally not my thing.
Yeah, don't get a bike when you come to New York. Just ride the city bikes. It's the best way to get around. Like
I know, but even on that, you're not ever afraid that someone's gonna hit you.
I am the person who hits.
Oh. All right. So I'm afraid of you.
No, there's the bike lanes. Like, look, it's scary, but it works. Like,
okay.
and New York is just about being aware of everyone. I think that's what I love about the city. So you get on the bike, you ride. Like, coming here, literally, was traffic. Everything was jam-packed.
Yeah.
So I rode a bicycle, and then I came up to your studio. And the fun thing is riding to your studio, and then some of the people who are coming to the show, and then they see me, and then they're like, is that... And I saw your team, and they see me on a bicycle, and they're like, that can't be...
Yes.
It makes you look like you don't have your life in order when you show up.
Like
no, I didn't realize how much bicycles just make it seem like you don't have things in order. It's just, you know, they look at me differently. Like, you're riding a car, they're like, Mr. Noah. You get off a bicycle, they're like, Trevor?
It's a completely different name change. I heard that you do this fun thing with your mom, which I'm totally going to incorporate with one of my children who loves riding. But you would have interesting arguments with her. Like, you wouldn't verbally have them. You'd write each other letters? Is this real?
Okay, so here's the thing. My mom forgets what she said. Oh. Okay? So this is the issue that I would have. So my mom would say to me, do X, Y, Z. And then I would do it. And then she'd be like, I also said you should do ABC. Then I'm like, no, you didn't.
You didn't.
You definitely didn't say that. And then we'd have an argument back and forth about who didn't do the thing, who didn't say the thing, who didn't do it. So then one day I said to her, I said, Mom, you work in a very professional environment. I said, I think we need to make our relationship a little more professional. So why don't you, like, write down... I was like, yeah, write down a list of the things so that I can tick them off and then I can hand it to you and go, it's done. And that's literally what we did.
Yes. Okay. I might be your mom. Yeah, I might. I was thinking about my kids. She was like, I don't remember you saying that. I was like, I definitely said that. And then I'm like, right? Or did I? I think I did.
Yeah, that's where the lists come in.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on for moms.
Yeah, I don't. That's why the lists are good for everybody.
So what's like an example of a letter?
Your team was kind enough to print them out for me.
Okay.
So I have them. So this is an example. So I asked my mom. I said, hey, Mom, if you want to correspond with me, let's put it in writing. So we can all agree on what happened.
Okay.
Right? And so then my mom would
paper
write this.
trail.
Oh yeah, my mom was very, and she'd be like, so she'd like slip it under my desk. So she'd be like, this is one that she wrote me. It was like, Dear Trevor, children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. Colossians 3, verse 20. Okay. Then she writes for herself. There are certain things I expect from you as my child, and as a young man, you need to clean your room. You need to keep the house clean. You need to look after your school uniform. Please, my child, I ask you, respect my rules so that I can also respect you. I ask you now, please go and do the dishes and do the weeds in the garden. Yours sincerely, Mom. Right?
It's very formal.
Yeah, but now this is great. Okay. I have that, and then I would respond.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Oh, and you don't understand. Like, young Trevor, I loved getting into, like, correspondency talk.
Oh, my God.
Like,
you are my son.
My favorite thing about, like, offices is how passive-aggressive they are. And so even as a child, I loved it. Like the line, to whom it may concern. I love that. I love that. So I wrote, this is how mine started. To whom it may concern, dear Mom, I have received your correspondence earlier. I'm delighted to say that I am ahead of schedule on the dishes, and I will continue to wash them in an hour or so. Please note that the garden is wet, and so I cannot do the weeds at this time, but please be assured this task will be completed by the end of the weekend. Also, I completely agree with you and what you are saying with regards to my respect levels, and I will maintain my room to a satisfactory standard. Yours sincerely, Trevor.
To a satisfactory standard.
That was us.
Here's what I got from that. Here's what I got from your letter. Why does it take you over an hour to do dishes?
So you see, this is part of the reason I wrote a children's book about this, right? Because I think I've kept this mindset. I don't know how, but like, I think parents are really unreasonable with their kids.
Okay.
Right? And what I mean by this is, when you go to your job or you go to your work, right, you expect your boss to give you an amount of time to do a task, and generally you just want them to give you the task to be done. But then when you're a parent, you tell your kid, do it, and do it now.
Yes.
And it's like, well, do you want the task done, or do you want it done immediately?
I want both.
No, but you see, that's unreasonable.
It's not. People ask it of me all the time.
No, I think that's unreasonable. I think as a parent, you can give your kid a little more leeway to say, like, hey, listen, these are the tasks I require of you, and I just need them done within a certain time frame.
Okay.
And then I think as a kid, you have a little more autonomy. And so I went, you know what? People don't need these dishes now.
Yeah.
Right? We eat our meals when we eat them. There's no, like, surprise meals in my house. So it's like, so why do the dishes all need to be done at once? My fingers are getting wrinkly. You know what I mean? So I'd wash a few, put
Okay.
them aside, and then be like, let me go do something else.
So you grew up like with me without a dishwasher. You were doing them by hand.
Oh, yeah,
Me
yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah.
No, but I get that. That I get because then you only have so much room too for them to dry, and then you have to do the other.
You
Yes,
see?
I
You
get
see?
that.
Yeah, you completely understand.
Yes, I understand
Oh,
that.
no, dishwasher is like, come on, that's like a video
But
game.
all kids are different. I know. I know. That's why my kids are like, I don't want to put it in the dishwasher. I'm like, I didn't even have a dishwasher.
Yes, I was the dishwasher.
It's time for a few commercials, and as always, we've got someone in the audience standing by.
Hi, Kelly and Trevor. I'm Kanika. Trevor, you are truly one of the most inclusive, intelligent voices of our generation, not to mention your incredible wit. I can't wait to see how younger generations lean on your book as they develop their own values. Don't go away. Kelly has more with Trevor after this.
All right. We are back with Trevor Noah. Give it up. So, your tour is worldwide. Whenever
Yes.
even with my show, when we tour, it's a different audience. Do you find that in comedy as well? Like it's a different. You're playing to
Definitely.
like a different
Definitely.
type of personality.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Every city in the world has its own vibe. Every community has its own rhythm. I think that's what I love about it. Is so if I'm touring a show, I don't ever get bored of it because it changes regardless, depending on where I am. So I like to make sure that what's happening in this room is happening in this room
Being
and
very
might
present.
never happen again.
Yeah, but that's exciting.
I love that.
Yes, me too. Tell us about your podcast. So you've said that you can find at least one thing. I think I do this too. You can find at least one thing that you can agree on with anyone,
Yes.
no matter their political views,
Yeah.
religious background, whatever. I think so too, because I think we are far more similar, than we are different.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
Definitely.
Why do you think this?
So, look, I think while we live in a world that's becoming increasingly more politicized, we shouldn't forget that politics isn't life, right? The issues that we deal with are real. Politics are the thing we put on top of the issues to try and solve them.
It's like a game.
And so in many ways, I think we shouldn't forget that you can't get to a place of connecting with somebody if you start with the thing that separates you. If you connect on just like the small things, like what's your family like? How were you raised? Like, look, you and I already, we both wash dishes physically.
Yes.
So now we have that. And then we can find the bridges and now can be like, wait, what was it like growing up for you? And then what was it like growing up for me? And you'll find we have way more similarities than we ever would have thought.
I agree.
If we try find them. And I think on the podcast, that's what I'm trying to do is really get into discussions with people where it's not 6 minutes, it's not 10 minutes. I think every form of entertainment or every broadcast has its purpose. What I like about long form is you get to pause and be like, wait, what did you mean?
Yeah.
What did you mean by that? And I think we're living in a world where increasingly it's not what did you mean? It's I know what you meant. And the person's like, oh, I didn't mean that. And if they didn't mean it, why are we fighting? And so half of the time, I don't think there's a real conflict. I think it's just a deeper discussion that we need to get into.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm loving about podcasting that's different to television.
I like how you say podcasting. I like that. So wait, you also have a new kids book. It is beautiful, by the way. I mean,
Thank you
even
very
just
much.
beautifully done. I got it in my office. I was like, what? Did you always want to do something like this?
I've always wanted to write a children's book.
Okay. How did you know what kind of message you wanted to bring to it? Because you wanted to read it as a kid, or?
Well, yeah. So I think of all the books that shaped us as human beings, most of them are children's books.
Yeah.
Like if you think of your formative years, the first books that gave you an idea of the world were children's books, right? Nobody was whipping out Lord of the Rings at age 5.
No.
Right?
Mine was Matilda.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly, Matilda, right?
Yeah.
But you read these stories and they give you a simple set piece to think about yourself and a situation and how you would deal with it or what you would think and I don't know, I've been thinking for a few years about how we struggle with conflict in society. And I thought, are we ever taught to resolve conflict as children? Are we ever taught to actually get into a discourse with another human being and find a way forward? I don't know that we necessarily are. Parents are stressed, and so they say, do it because I said so.
Yeah.
I don't have time for
I have
this.
never said that, Trevor. Not me.
And so I think, like, finding that conversation point, that's why I wrote the book. My dream is for parents to read it with kids, kids to read it by themselves, parents to read it by themselves, adults to read it for themselves. And just remind yourself of like imagination, curiosity, getting into a situation with somebody where you go, why, as opposed to it is. Why do you think that? Why do you feel that way? Is there a way that, is there something that could make you feel different about that? What is the joy in that? And I think that's where imagination lies. And I don't know what adults think of it yet, but every kid who's read it has like given me like a little fist, like, yes, Trevor.
Yes.
I'm serious. Like, all the kids, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's just they don't really have the buying power, so this might not work. But all the kids who've read it so far, just like, they're like, Trevor, can I just say thank you so much? Because my mom never understands. And then I read the book, and I'm like, yeah, Trevor understands. And I'm like, yeah.
He gets
For the
me.
kids.
That's important, though. I do think, as a parent, too, sometimes we lose, like, there's so much going on in our lives that sometimes you don't have the fuel and you don't take the time and you don't, not all the time, but sometimes. So it is a nice reminder, like, of communication.
Definitely.
Just this most simple form of communication and just listening.
Yeah, and remembering, the one thing I've learned talking to kids when I was going to write this book was kids generally and genuinely want the best for their parents. I know parents don't think that when they've like smashed something or they've drawn on something or they've broken something, but like they genuinely do. They don't want to see you angry. They don't want to see you sad.
They want to please you.
They do, and they're just like, I want a good life for you. I also thought of drawing something on the wall, you know? And they don't understand the paradox of these ideas until, you know, they grow a little bit older. But I don't know. I think if we spend a little more time in that world, maybe, just maybe, we'll end up in a society where as adults, we'll be able to have fewer conflicts and more resolutions.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we have to take a quick break. Trevor's podcast, What Now with Trevor Noah, is available wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to look for his new children's book. It's called Into the Uncut Grass. It's out now. It's beautiful. The illustrations are beautiful. I love it. It's very, very cool.